If I look back and say, I am so guilty of this, I wish I would have learned sooner not to do this, is you might not know it yet, but there are silent sabotagers in your life right now that are silently sabotaging, stealing your time, your energy, and your growth. And I want to share something personal with you today. I'm actually going to take it back a couple years because I was talking with a coaching client today and she said, Sandy, I want to know about the Sandy, like the earlier version of Sandy, before you had the systems, before you had the strategy, and before you had the support in your business. What did that version look like? So we are going to unpack maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, Sandy, when I wasn't operating with system strategy and support in my business and what that looked like, and the 5 silent sabotagers in my business that were stealing my time, my energy, and my growth. And the reason why I want to share this with you is because I want you to be able to go into your home and your business and your life and be able to identify what these are so you can plug out of them and plug into very specific systems, strategies, and support that are going to help you grow, that are going to give you back your time and give you back that energy. So let's dive in. Hi, if we haven't met before, my name's Sandy Glant. I'm a high performance productivity coach, TV host, best-selling author, mom, and wife. And I'm so excited because for me to share with you this kind of stories and like take things back to a few years ago, I think that so many of you see the version now, the woman that has the business and the home systems and the business systems and all the things that help run my day. But it didn't start here. And not only did it not start here, but there was a lot of trials and tribulations and growth. And if I can pass on to you some of the things that helped me grow and help me evolve and save me time and energy, and you can take that process that I can share with you and you can kind of like shorten the gap. You can take what I'm going to share with you and you can plug it in to your life, your home, your business, so that you get to have growth and expansion and time with your babies and time with your spouse and build a business on purpose and build a business that feels good to you, that you get to grow and be intentional with. Now, look, I have 2 littles. They're 4 and 7, and I'm running a business within the hours, within the window that I have when they're not home, when they're in school. My business was built very intentionally in this model. And I think that there's a lot of like noise out in the marketplace right now where people say, you have to hustle, you have to grind, you have to work 8, 10, 12 hours a day in order to be successful. Well, I'm here to give you the good news. That is not the case. But what you do need are systems. What you do need is a strategy. And what you absolutely need is some support. And that comes in many different ways. So we're going to dive into what it looks like before I had the systems, before I had the strategies, and before I had the support. But I'm also going to share with you the 5 silent sabotagers that are stealing your time, your energy, and your growth. So we're going to dive in, and I want to hear from you. Which one of these do you find popping up in your life? Maybe there's more than one, but comment below and let me know. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please do so, because every single week we pick 3 new subscribers to win a one-on-one call with me, to win a call into the High Performance Academy, or win a signed copy of the Slay Your Day book. So make sure you're subscribed, and please share this with another busy working mom who would benefit from this content. I wish I would have had this 7, 8 years ago, when I was really in the thick of it and new to juggling being a mom and running a business and trying to be, at least decent at all of them. I think that, it all ebbs and flows, and plugging into the systems and strategy and support is the entire reason why my business is successful. And you need all 3. So again, as we dive into the 5 silent sabotagers that are stealing your time, your energy, and your growth, I want to know from you. Let me know below, which one of these are you going to focus on for the next 30 days? Okay, the first silent sabotager that is stealing your time, your energy, your power, your growth, your freedom is you wake up and you're reactive to the day. The day is running you. You are no longer in control. Now, I have a video. I don't know if you had a chance to check this out or not, but I highly recommend it. And it's called How to Become a Morning Person. And once I did this, everything shifted. Okay. My business, first of all, when I'm talking about being reactive, this is where I would like open up my laptop, have no plan, start putting out fires, answer emails, chase or catch up on anything that was missed messages, follow up with the team. And I was jumping from task to task. There was no rhyme or reason. It was just kind of like whatever was urgent, whatever landed on my plate that day, that's what would get my attention. Now, the same thing at home. The mornings, first of all, I was waking up in a very reactive manner. Now, I will say, when you are in the newborn stages of breastfeeding at night or not sleeping through the night, you get a pass here. Like, I'm talking about when you are past that newborn stage, or even really the first like year or so, when you're really in the thick of it, trying to, get your groove back. So what I'll say is, like, on the home front, mornings were very chaotic because they were not proactive. They were very, very reactive. The clothes were not put out. Lunch boxes weren't made ahead of time. I mean, the day was a scramble, and just getting out the door was like a big deal. Okay. So what I want to share with you is that, like, in order to be able to set yourself up for success, and in order to be able to like start the day off on the right foot, the morning has to be proactive, not reactive. And a big part of this for me came from when I had the realization of I'm waking up way too late. And when I say way too late, I mean, I was probably waking up 8 or 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock. I mean, I love my sleep. However, I was also like not going to bed until midnight. Like, I would be up late at the end of the day and then say, oh, well, it's okay. I can just like wake up, later, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, in the morning. That no longer serves my lifestyle. You guys know, if you've watched, past videos, today, now that I'm not in prep and now that I'm, just in my regular routines and things like that, my alarm clock goes off at 5:35. I'm normally like up by then. I don't know if you ever like can tell when you're in like a dream state and you're kind of like half dreamy. I dream very vividly, so I pretty much always remember my dreams. I can tell when I'm like coming up out of that dream, and like even right before my alarm clock goes off, I'm pretty much up and cognizant and like awake. Not out of bed, but I am awake, like ready to go, just because it's been that same time very consistent for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. So everyone is talking about soursop, the tropical superfruit with superpowers. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen in. If you suffer from inflammation, digestive issues, low energy, or low immune health, there's nothing else like soursop to help your body feel its best. But the soursop fruit is almost impossible to source in the US. So Soursop Nutrition is on a mission to bring you a selection of expertly formulated supplements that give you the benefits of soursop hassle-free. The Soursop Cell Plus Immunity Gummies are gluten-free, non-GMO, and low-carb, and they're a favorite in my house. We also love their shake boosts, which come in 4 flavors, including 2 delicious fall favorites, pumpkin and apple. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I love adding the shakes into my smoothies, and we even add them to our baked treats for the kids, and they love baking with me. They're great for gut health, are full of fiber, and help balance blood sugars, making it a natural weight management aid. Who doesn't love that? The shakes are also 0 sugar, low carb, and gluten-free. Place your first order today and enjoy 20% off with code SANDY20, or use the link in the show notes. Repetition is also going to be very helpful for you here, and consistency, because the longer you do it, the more your body's going to get used to it. So start in small increments. Start getting up 15 minutes earlier. then 30, then 45. Before you know it, you'll be getting up an hour earlier, but you've got to train your body. It's just like going to the gym, training the muscle, being able to do a little bit gradually at a time. Like when I go to work out, I'm not just throwing a bunch of weights on. I wouldn't even be able to lift it. It's been a slow, gradual process. So the first silent sabotager is that I was waking up, I was being very reactive. So I will challenge you, if you struggle with this, and comment below and let me know, because again, you are not alone. The reason why I'm talking about this is because we all go through this. This is like that evolution. This was that part of me that I literally had to break through from this to get to my next level. So I knew this was my Achilles heel. I knew that this was the thing that was sabotaging me in going to the next level, in growing my business, in being the kind of mom that I wanted to be, and even taking care of myself. Okay. So don't neglect yourself. That's like another tip. Okay. Don't neglect yourself, but wake up and be proactive towards the day, whatever that means for you. So like before I go to bed currently, because we're still in school session right now. Before I go to bed, I set the table for the boys. So I have their placemats, their forks, their spoons. I put out their plates. I get my gym clothes ready. So I set out my gym clothes. I get my toothbrush, my vitamins. We have an organizer. You guys have seen this in a past video. We have an organizer of all the kids' clothes Monday through Friday for school. I take whatever day it is. I put those clothes out on the counter. I prep their water bottles. I prep their snack bags. So everything is ready to go. So I'm actually ahead of the game, ahead of the day for the next morning. So when I wake up in the morning, I grab my gym clothes, grab my toothbrush, get dressed, and literally just go right into the gym. So I'm in the gym from 6 to 7. I wake up at 5:35, get myself, teeth brushed, get myself dressed, and then I just get right to work in the gym until 7 o'clock. So you run the day. Don't let the day run you. I know in the beginning, it's so much easier said than done. Small baby steps will make massive amounts of progress. So start there. Let me know. You can even comment below and let me know what time you're currently waking up and what your goal is. The second silent sabotager that is stealing your time, your energy, and your growth. And that if I look back and say, I am so guilty of this, I wish I would have learned sooner not to do this, is saying yes at everything that came my way, because every yes came with a cost. And I just want to tell you that by doing more, it's not going to get you to your goal. As a matter of fact, doing more is probably only going to burn you out faster and have you wondering why you said yes to so many things that don't align with the highest and greatest purpose that you're meant to live and you're meant to do. Now, I know for me as a working mom, my day, my clients, my calls, my events, like everything I do is built around how I can be a present mom, a great wife, make sure dinner's on the table for my family at the end of the day. Like that for me. And look, everybody's different. So I'm not judging you. You don't judge me. But that for me was always such a big part of like my home life and what I wanted my kids to have and grow up with. I wanted to make home cooked meals. I actually enjoy it now. And if you were to talk to me like, I don't know, 3 years ago, I really didn't know like how to cook or like the easy meals that I could get on the table that were clean and healthy and like under 30 minutes. But I've been doing this now for the past few years and it has been a game changer. By the way, I may or may not have some things coming out for you guys in the future that help you with this, that help you get clean and healthy and delicious meals on the table that don't take up a lot of time. Some of my secret weapons here are sheet pan meals, crock pot meals, prepping meals at breakfast. You guys have seen this on my YouTube or on my Instagram, prepping like the dinners during breakfast and then having them ready to go at dinner time, whether it's just throwing it in the oven or like prepping crock pot meals in the morning at breakfast and then having it ready to go for dinner. Planning your day, there is no better way or system to set yourself up for success than looking at the things that you need to do and planning ahead of time. But saying yes to every single thing, whether it's opportunities in business, I don't care if it's something that like excites you in that moment, you have to ask yourself, at what cost am I saying yes to these opportunities? If you also have other priorities such as spouse, kids, your own personal, well-being and personal development. So look at that. Is it spreading you thin or is it growing you? Because I always want to come from a place of growth, but not at the cost of burnout, not at the cost of mental health, and surely not at the cost of my family. So I'm really always looking at what is the opportunity, but also what is it going to cost me? And it has to be in alignment for both of those things. Now, at home, it's so easy to also fall into this category as well, because I remember in the early days, again, if I'm thinking back, like even when Jake was little, so like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I would overcommit to like play dates and park dates and like, school events when Jake was going to school or family obligations, and everything was just yes, 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 versus like, am I checking in with myself? Like, is this in alignment? I will even do this now. Like if there are events or like things that are presented to me that don't align with where I'm going and what my family needs from me, it's an easy yes. And actually it makes it a lot easier to say no. It's an easy yes to say yes to the things that are in alignment. It's an easy no to say no to things that I know just don't check the boxes of what that greater purpose is, right? So looking at what are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? And what is it costing you? Because at the end of the day, that is going to secretly and silently sabotage your time, your energy, and your growth. So really hone in. And this is another thing that I see with a lot of my clients. Like they will have 20 different things that seem like they're all of high priority. And then they wonder why they're so overwhelmed, because there's one thing over here, might be business, then another thing over here for family, then another opportunity over here that they might want to take. But there's no clear path, right? So that's why every time I preach like systems and strategies and support, it's so important to know, like, what do you want? And I was just on a call today with a client and I asked her, I said, what do you want? Because I think that we get so clouded by the judgment of all the people around us. Like, what do they want me to do? Or what do I think they want me to do? Right? So just get really clear on what you want for yourself and ultimately what you want your life to look like. And that will be your North Star. That will be your guide to allow you to say, I know where I'm showing up. I know what I'm saying yes and no to. And I'm going to use that as my guide versus just trying to fit everything in. And then your schedule is cramped and it's crowded and everything's overwhelming. And then you feel, strangled and you feel like there is no growth. So look at what you're saying yes to and protect those yeses at all costs. Can we just talk about how bedtime used to be for us? Oh my gosh, you guys, I was hanging off one side of the bed. My kids were laying sideways across the entire bed. And my husband, he was literally falling off the bed. Don't even get me started on the stiff necks. We were actually at the chiropractor more than we were sleeping. We just thought that we had to deal with it until we found Alaskan King bed. Now we can actually co-sleep without the kids kicking us all night long. Everyone has plenty of space, and my husband finally stays in the bed. And we all wake up feeling refreshed, like we actually slept the whole night, because we did. If you're a growing family like us, this bed is a total game changer. More space equals more snuggles, less stress, and so much more quality time. And that was the true reason why we fell in love with this bed. Trust me, you will never go back. So head on over to AlaskanKingBeds.com and use code SANDY for a discount. Wishing you and your family sweet dreams from my family to yours. Make sure you head over to AlaskanKingBeds.com. All right, the third silent sabotager that is stealing your time, your energy, and your growth. This is a big one. Okay. So listen up. This is a big one. Every single woman that I know is most likely guilty of this one. And number 3 is that I was trying to do everything myself. Everything. Like back when I go back to the beginning days of like babies and business and trying, to operate everything. I was the CEO. I was the content creator. I was the marketer. I was the salesperson. I was the chef. I was the butler. I was the chauffeur. I was the chef. I was all the things. I was the laundry person. I was the meal person, the scheduling, the clean, like I was doing it all. Right. And at some point you have to take a step back and say, like, how am I being supported? This is why that third pillar of support is so, so important. All 3 of them are important. They all work together. But I think that the support piece tends to get neglected. And truthfully, I believe that this is because we as women, we take pride in being the martyr to some extent. We take pride in saying like, I can do it all. But ladies, like, do you want to be the one that is stressed out, overworked, Cinderella, also like boss babe, doing all the things all the time? Like, that is, even saying it is exhausting. Can I get an amen? Okay. So I want you to take a step back and I want you to do two things. Number one, I want you to look at where your time is going. Are you spending more time on your meal prep, on your laundry, on your cleaning in the house? Are you spending a lot of your time on your content creation, on your sales, on your marketing, wearing the CEO hat? Like, where is that time going? Because something's got to give. Now, for me, this big shift came when I hired the first person on my team that was also wearing a lot of hats. And then as I could bring on new team members, they started to take work from that team member. So then the team started to grow, the business started to grow, but it started with one, and the one was me. And then there was one, and then there was two. And that was I believe it was Karen. So shout out to Karen, who's in my business, who started making like graphics and my PDFs and my PowerPoints from the coaching calls that I was doing. Then I brought on a VAE, executive assistant. She was an executive assistant. She was a personal assistant. She was wearing a lot of hats. Then I had someone else come on and help to support her. So the business was growing, but I also like just got to a point where I was stretched so thin. The second thing I did was I made a list, and I made a list of all the things that I was doing. And then I said, like, where do I want to be? Like, what are the things that only I can do that's going to create growth? So then I can hire out, or I can afford childcare, or I can afford, to bring someone in to help me with laundry once a week, or I can afford a housekeeper, or I can afford to bring on a team member to help me behind the scenes. Okay. So all of those things are so, so important, because without that, you are going to be stretched so thin that something's going to snap, because it's not possible to do all of those things and do all of them in conjunction together well. There's got to be a system, a strategy, and the support of team members. Or maybe you're at a point where you're like, you know what? My spouse needs to help me. My spouse needs to like get on board to help me out for a couple hours a day. Or maybe it's a neighbor. Maybe you can do like an exchange where like one day you watch the neighbor's kids and then you swap and she watches yours. Or even here in South Florida, I know up north, my PA clients are like, man, I wish we had this here. But like going to a gym that has childcare, like what a great way to be able to get that personal time in for yourself, that you can go work out, have an hour for yourself, but you have to have some kind of support, whether it's from your spouse, your team, someone that can help you in your home. This will be such a game changer. So get that integrated into your business and in your home, and watch how much it changes your life. All right. The fourth silent sabotager that was stealing my time, my energy, and my growth was I was confusing busyness with productivity. And if I think again back to maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe even like 5 years ago, right? Like my calendar, when I'm thinking about business, was filled with like Zoom calls, client work, endless to-dos, but it really had no clarity on what was actually moving the needle. Now, today, what I love to do is really like bulk or like chunk my activities. So I'll have certain days where I'm only making content, or I'll have certain days where I'm just doing an event, or I'll have certain days where I'm only doing one-on-one calls. That's my Tuesday, Wednesdays, and my Thursdays. Then I also have just my academy days on Mondays. So every day has a structure. Every day has a reason and a purpose behind what I'm doing. Again, I also have a team that's backing me up in this area as well. So don't confuse busyness with productivity, because just because you're busy doesn't mean you're being productive. Okay. And same thing goes for at home. Okay. Because you can be checking off all the mom tasks that you're doing in your home, but never have that true presence with your kids. Okay. Like, I'm sure you can relate to this. If you relate to this, drop me in the comments, Sandy, I relate. If you are physically, like you have physically been with your kids, but mentally you're somewhere else. Mentally, you're with the client. Mentally, you're thinking about a launch. Mentally, you're thinking about an event. Like, you are just not fully present with where you're at. Maybe it's on a date night, or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe now you're like in business, but you're thinking about your kids, where they're at. Do they need you? Are they okay? Like, it can go both ways. So don't confuse busyness with productivity, because at the end of the day, there has to be a system and a strategy that allows you to be productive and not just busy work all day long. Anyone can be busy. I mean, my kids are busy. My kids can be busy with Legos. My kids can be busy running around, running amok. But the busyness is what's sabotaging the success. The busyness is what's going to be the thing that we think, oh, I'm going to be busy just doing all these things. But at the end of the day, what's actually moving the needle forward? Now, if you want to go deeper on this, I have an entire Big Money Moves training that I want to offer you. That Big Money Moves training, if you go to sandraglant.com/big money, you will get that entire training for free. And it's going to show you exactly what your big money moves are. So things like sales calls, following up with clients, what's your lead gen, what's the team doing, what are your team's big money moves? So go check that out, because that will be the thing that allows you to plug into productivity versus busyness. All right, the final silent sabotager that I want to share with you. And as I peel back these layers and I think back to, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or like even like just the beginning stages of building a business, scaling a business, being mom, being wife, doing all the things, I think that the number one thing that really was sabotaging was that I was operating from survival, not from strategy. And you guys know, if you've heard any of my videos or been in any of my programs or podcasts or any of my content on Instagram or social media, you know how important it is and how much I preach having a strategy. Because in business, when I was operating from this place of survival and not having a strategy, I didn't know my numbers. I had no clue about what I was tracking or conversations or how to follow up or having workflows. I was literally winging it and just hoping for results. There was no strategy. And a lot of times it's so interesting, because even the ladies in my academy will be like, okay, Sandy, like, what does it exactly mean to have a system? What does it exactly mean to have a strategy? And all, just very simply put, having a strategy is the thing that is your blueprint that allows you to go where you want to go with the least amount of resistance. Okay. So having that strategy where you know what that strategy is to track your leads every single week, because you have them coming in and you have a strong, solid follow-up system, tracking your numbers, having your team, having your workflows in place. Like, all of these things are so, so important. And this is coming from a place of thriving, not just surviving. And then on the home front, I mean, this was a complete mess, because how many times do you find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, it's 4:30. I have no clue what I'm making for dinner. I have no clue, like, do we even have food in the fridge to make dinner? Okay, screw it. We'll call DoorDash or we'll call Uber Eats or whatever, because like I just don't have the energy or the bandwidth to like figure it out, right? So you're like scrambling to get food on the table, and then there's like no consistent routines. Everything's super inconsistent. You're not planning anything out ahead of time. I share with you, my nighttime routine. So like, you are just constantly living in survival mode. And if this is you, I would love to welcome you, to invite you into the High Performance Academy, because this is where you're going to map out your systems, your strategies, your support, because all of these things are going to benefit you both at home and in your business, to be thriving, to give you back your time, your energy, and that growth, the growth that again, in the beginning, I wish I would have had these systems. I wish I would have even knew where to start with this system, because again, at the end of the day, like, having a true system in your business means that you're able to put something in place and it has a very clear path of what the start is and what the finish is and how you get there, and how you're able to sustain that. Now, look, sometimes systems also have some automation in them, have AI in them, which is great because those are things that you don't need to do repeatedly. So we teach these things. I teach these along with my team inside the High Performance Academy. So you're actually able to learn it and implement that. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can email me. I'll put my email below, Sandra@sandraglant.com, or you can head over to sandraglant.com/academy. But these 5 really silent sabotagers are the things that you got to get out of your life. You got to get them out of the way. You got to build the systems. You got to build the strategy, and you have to have the support, because otherwise we are just in a constant loop, in a constant pattern of draining our energy, of being on a path of just survival mode. And your business, your clients, and your home, your family, your babies, your spouse, you deserve to be in a space of having that time, having that energy, and the growth that you deserve. So if this is something that you're interested in and you want to go deeper and you're loving what you're hearing here, reach out to me, Sandra@sandraglant.com. We can book a call together and get your roadmap in place. So I can't wait to hear from you. I want to know which one of these 5 silent sabotagers are stealing your time, your energy, and your growth. Implement these different systems, strategies, and support that I'm sharing with you, and I promise it will change your life. I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, make sure you go out and slay your day.